What am I doing on the shop roof? Well, good question. The meadow's starting to get nice and green. It's looking great. But I'm not up here just to enjoy the view. I'm up here to see how my sprinkler system is doing after this winter. And to remind myself how I made it so that I can do the same thing on a much steeper, significantly worse to climb roof than this one. So this is the sprinklers. I'm going to try to turn it around without falling off, hopefully. There it is. This is the sprinkler system that I put in for the shop, and it's worked out great. Actually, I can see kind of slid a little bit over there, but not a big deal. Still fairly good. So it seems to have survived the winter rather well. And what I ended up doing is, this is not comfortable. Let me change here without falling off, hopefully. There we go. All right. And there we go. So I made these brackets out of some random steel that I had, and I have a bunch of it. I think it used to be like siding, like a really heavy-duty siding for a big shed or building or something like that. So I've cut it to shape and welded it onto the pipe, and it's been working out really good. So I'm gonna have to do up some new ones and weld them at a significantly different angle for the other roof, because this is not too comfortable here. There we go. All right, try not to fall, because that would be bad. Yeah, so I get to do the same thing for that roof, and I still have no idea how I'm gonna get up there. But anywho, first I gotta fabricate it, paint it, make it look all pretty, and then I can figure everything else out. I like coming up here. It's actually really nice. Okay, back in the shop. So I need to get going on the sprinkler, but before I can get to that, I got to do a couple things that are going to require power. So these are the panels that I used the last time. So you can see there's a bit of a profile to it. So I got to cut these in a few different ways to fit on top of the roof without damaging it. And for that, I'm going to be using the saw that I have, this little guy, the Milwaukee saw for steel, which works beautifully. Hashtag not sponsored, which I wish they would, but anyway. But I'm going to need power also. So if I need power, I might as well line up a few things that I'm going to do. One of them is, when I was working on the Land Cruiser, I found that the radiator support was completely cracked. So I got to clean up all of this and weld this up in a few places actually. And I'm going to reinforce it somehow. Not yet sure how. See, this is why it pays not to throw things out. I've got some little pieces of metal that were left over from those panels that I cut for this sprinkler, and they look like that. So I'm probably going to be able just to, one way or the other, reinforce that like so, and sleeve over top of the weld. So first I'm going to weld these, clean everything up, weld them in place, and then I will grind it smooth and then do an extra reinforcement across that. So this morning I've already spent doing something I've never done before. I am getting into gardening, growing veggies. We're trying this out. Oh, hi ducks. Oh yes, so scared. So scared. Quack, quack. Quack, quack, quack. Quack, quack. Anyways, so this morning, I have first off, I have no idea what I'm doing when it comes to gardening. I have never intentionally grown anything in my life. I've barely managed to keep cacti alive, and even that failed. Anyways, so I'm trying veggies. Let's see what happens. So this morning I planted, I have carrots, kale, beets, and Well, I guess it would help if I remember what else I planted. Something else. I'd have to look at my tags. And then over here, I've got potatoes and cauliflower. Yes, I know some of these things are supposed to be started indoors, then moved out. But hey, guess what? That's not happening. So we're going to just experiment. For now, the soil is a mixture of, I still have a bunch on top of the truck, some nice organic soil from the area, and horse manure, which I mixed. And I've decided that after at least a little bit of research, because I mean, I can't just, not just going to completely wing it. I found out that it's a good idea to cover these to maintain the moisture to help them do their thing, germinate. That's the word. So I decided to do little makeshift covers, which are only screwed down on the one side over here. And then these are just there to keep the weight down. But this way I can lift up the entire thing, flip it over, water them, and then close it back up. And it will help contain at least some moisture. That's my theory. I have no idea if this will work. It seems like a good idea. So, I don't know. You guys already got fed. Oh, poor me. Nobody loves me. Nobody takes care of me. Yeah, you know you're being recorded, so you're being extra dramatic. Get over it. Meh. So hard done by. I never feed them. I never give them water. They are such poor animals. So neglected. Okay, this is the mock-up stage, and once again, there is no such thing as owning too many clamps, because when it comes time to doing little mock-ups where everything is custom and we're not doing a production run, endless amounts of clamps is your friend. And what's going on here? Come on, work with me. And of course it helps if the clamps are working, which that one isn't. I was wondering how I was going to mock this up because there's a lot of angles happening and a lot of things that I'm trying to keep straight, and I was kind of wondering, like, thinking I might have to build a jig or I don't know, reinvent the wheel. But then I remembered that last year I ended up ordering these really cool brackets for welding from a company called Fireball Tool. Yeah, Fireball Tool. I'll try to remember to post the link somewhere. I'm not sponsored by any means. I wish I was, but it's not happening. So they have this cool fixture. Actually, let's have a look at this here. Hold on. All right, there we go. More zooming. So they've got these cool fixtures that you can clamp in all kinds of different ways from all kinds of different sides. And that one's probably better to see. And in this case, they're perfect for what I needed to do. So I think this was like the mid-sized one. There was one bigger one, which I want like 2 of those, but they're not cheap, understandably. But this is the first time using it, and so far I'm loving this idea. This is one of my favorite new fixtures. So as budgets permit, I will be getting more. Off in the distance, the generator is humming away. give you guys a little bit of a close-up to that. So that's what you get, and then you also get little screws with some tabs that help you position things. And I'm very happy with these. These were awesome. Again, still not sponsored, but just a very cool tool if you're fabricating things. That makes your life easier. Okay, I found them. They're out in the meadow again. Okay, let me zoom. Okay, no, that's my finger. They're over there. Okay, let's see if we can sneak up on them. Those little troublemakers. Oh, no, they see me. They're walking the wrong direction. All right. I got to go around and cut them off at the pass. This is why we call them runner ducks. Okay, let's quickly make it through here without tripping over anything. You little troublemakers. No, don't go back in the meadow. Don't you dare. Okay, I can't get there. And this part of the meadow has always been wet. So, this is not helpful. I don't want to push him into the meadow. Oh, that's wet. There we go. Ducks away. Look at him go. They know where home is. That's the hilarious part. They just like to venture out. Yeah. There we go. That's my morning entertainment. This is why there's no need for television. This is way better. All right. I am in the initial stages of getting the sprinkler up on the roof. So there is one half of it. The other half I've already put up there. And that was the easy half. And it's a bit of work, I gotta tell you. So, several things that are kind of against me is one, I'm not that fond of heights. I'll do it, but it's not like I'm warm and fuzzy up there. And two, I hate scaffolding. And that stems back to one of my previous careers where I used to deal with it all the time and I just despise it. So, guess what I'm doing? I'm playing with scaffolding and heights. So this is great. It appears that I have mathed correctly. This is good. So the very big issue I had is figuring out the spacing between the ridges on the roof so that the brackets could sit in between them. So, and to correlate that to the length of the pipe and blah, 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 blah. So anywho, it appears that I have did my math correctly. Let's come on up and have a look up here. Yes, holding phone while climbing scaffolding, always a brilliant idea. But anywho, so this is sticking out a little bit further than I wanted it, but I wanted to have some clearance because, so obviously this is gonna end up being up there, and then that angle here is actually gonna match that. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna kind of scoot the pipe back in through here so it's a little bit closer to this, so it's not sticking out as much. But the big issue I had was making sure those feet, which once again are going to end up there, lined up on either side of that. So this one is perfect right there as I cover it with my shadow. This one I knew I had to modify because it wasn't going to work, and this was after I've already welded it. So I kind of modified it so that the foot is in the middle of that and that. And then the big issue was going to be this joint and these guys. So these ones turned out to be, this one's perfect, right in the middle. And so is that one. And then I still have a couple of feet before the end of the roof. So now the way I designed this stuff was to make sure that the sprinkler is higher than the chimney and anything else, so it's not shooting water into the chimney, because I already have a problem with that, of water coming down the chimney or outside of it. Anyway, digressing. So this is going to be a lot taller than what I did on the shop, because the shop chimney is actually a little bit lower, but kind of the same idea. And yeah, it doesn't go all the way in or all the way out, because it doesn't need to. And then that one is in a little bit as well. Because it's a steel roof, I don't need to wet this down. I'm not concerned about that. What I am concerned about is soaking everything else around here. And these things at this elevation, I figure they're probably going to give me, I don't know, 70 feet, 80 feet, maybe. Those ones on top of the shop, they reach probably about 50 feet. So they'll go past, like, they'll hit the wood almost, that wood pile over there, which is great. So if I happen to, knock on wood, have a forest fire in the area, obviously I can't salvage the entire property, because I would need a lot more sprinklers, but I can salvage the house, the shop, more than likely the machinery, things like that, by moving them into areas that are not going to burn, and I can soak everything around here as best as I can. Luckily, there isn't too many things that are flammable.